Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I'm going to speak to you about the filters by Freewell for the drone DJI Mavic Mini. Let's start. First, a disclaimer. I want to say that first I bought this filter myself. I bought both a set of filters, and then I communicated to Freewell that I was going to do a review, and then they reimbursed me. They gave me my money back to thank me for it. But I said I'll tell anyway what I want to say about the filter, about the product. Won't change anything. He said no problem. Can tell whatever you want, but here's your money back. So I want to thank them for trusting me as a reviewer and letting me tell exactly what I want, or free to say whatever I want, and to give me that money back, knowing that anyway I was going to do a review. So thank you very much, and let's carry on. A small recap about ND filters. When you want to do a video, most of the time you're going to want to do some cinematic look. And to have cinematic look, you want to have a 180-degree shutter, they call it. It means that if you make like 25 images per second, your shutter speed should be 1/50th of a second. If you want to make 60 images per second, your shutter speed should be 1/20th of a second. But if you don't want to touch the aperture, or you cannot touch the aperture, like on mobile phone or on drones, on cameras, normally you can touch the aperture, but maybe you don't want to touch it because you want to keep a shallow depth of field or whatever. The only solution is to place an ND filter in front of the lens. Okay, so that would be for video. And when we speak about photography, if you want to make a long exposure photography, you also need to cut light, because even if you close your aperture at maximum, rarely you will have a time long enough. So you will also use an ND filter. So there's no exception, whether it's a camera, whether it's a drone, whether it's a mobile phone, you normally use ND filters. So this is a product I'm going to show you, and I will show you in this case for the DJI Mavic Mini. So let's carry on. So I bought both packs. I've got the all-day 8-pack. In there you have filters, different kind of filters. You have standard ND filters, ND4, which is 2-stop, ND8, 3 stops, ND16, 4-stop. Then I've got a circular polarizer, which is just to polarize if you don't want to have a reflection. And then you have mixed, hybrid, which are ND and polarizer. You have ND8PL, which is 3 stops, ND16, 4-stop, ND32, 5-stop, ND64, 6 stops. So this is the pack, what they call all-day, all-day 8-pack, okay? And I also bought the long exposure pack, where you have an ND1000 and an ND2000. The ND1000 has 10 stops, and the ND2000 has 11 stops. It's true that some people think, yeah, but it's just 1 stop difference. What's the difference? Yeah, but 1 stop is half or twice light. It means the 11 stop, the ND2000, actually cuts the light by half. So it's not just a bit. So here are the 2 filters for long exposure. So I'm going to show you the product. I'm going to show you how you hook it on the Mavic Mini, and also I will show you some sample of pictures and video I've made with it. So what do you get in the box? When in the all-day pack, 8-pack, you get a box. You open like this, metal box. It reminds me of this old cigar box. And here in there you have your filters properly organized like this. And you also have a small envelope. In the envelope you have some instructions, client card, things like this, and also a small cloth, so you can actually clean your filters. And if I speak about the other box, what I get with the ND1000 and ND2000, this case is a plastic box. It's like magnetic. Here, open. Here I've got my filters, my 2 filters. You have empty space here because actually you can buy spare filters. You don't have to buy a pack, you can actually buy spare filters. So I'll probably send you a box with you can put like 3, 4, whatever you want, whatever fits in this box, okay? And you also get a small envelope with a cloth and instruction. So the presentation is really good. You really feel quality. So here I got 2 filters out. One is a standard ND filter, as you can see, okay? I don't know if you see it well, okay? And here is the one that has a polarizer in front of it. You see the small circle in front, okay? So the polarizer, you can actually turn it to orient it, the polarization, the way it's polarized. And obviously this is something you must do before flying, because once you're in flight you cannot touch it. It's really light. It looks fragile, but it's not. But it's really light, so it really does not affect the way your the camera gimbal is actually working. I was reading that maybe you would need to calibrate again the gimbal, but I did not have the problem. I put the filter on it. I didn't ask me to recalibrate, so for me it was fine. So the quality is really brilliant. Obviously when you manipulate this is really small. This is easy to touch a glass, so try not to touch it, or you have the small cloth to clean it. But the quality is really good. First, very important, you remove the protection of your camera gimbal, and you must place it when the drone is switched off, because if it's on, you're going to force the engine of the camera, of the gimbal, and that will be a problem. Second, if you look at there, if you move the camera here, as you can see, you see there's like some small rays, small slots there. Well, actually, look at the filter. There are some small peaks here. Okay, so simply you're going to place these two small small, I don't know, you call that nails or whatever. You place it and then you push the filter down, and that's it. It's on. It's on. Okay, it's placed. So it's important you make sure it's properly placed. You look at it and you touch it a bit, it doesn't move. Otherwise you could lose it while flying. But it's really easy to place. And then to remove it, you just simply take it out this way, okay? Try not to touch too much the camera, as I'm doing right now, because I'm looking at the recording at the same time. But it's really easy to place and remove. Well, important, it's really small. So when you do that, try to place it when you're in your car or somewhere where, if it falls, see where it falls, because if it's in grass, you may lose it. So make sure when you place it, you're above something that if it falls on the floor, you see it. So now I'm going to show you an example of motion blur. So remember, if you want to have this cine look, you want to have your shutter speed twice the amount of image per second you're doing. So the easiest way, when you don't know exactly what ND filter to pick, well, you put your drone in your hand, you switch it on, you put the camera in automatic exposure, and then you read, you see what it says. And then you count. If it says you're on 0.002 of a second, probably ISO 100. The aperture is 2.8, fixed 2.8. Then if you want to go down to 1/50th of a second, well, calculate. 0.002 of a second to 1000, 1 stop. 500, 2 stop. 250th, 3 stop. 125, 4 stop. 1/60th would be 1/50th. Okay, 5 stop. So you should use the ND32. If you were on 1/4000th of a second of shutter speed, then you should put 6 stops, ND64. If you're on 1/500th of a second, then you should put 3 stop, ND8. Okay, so I always say you need to calculate to do the thing right, okay? But this is the easiest way. Unless you have a light meter, the easiest way to use your drone to see exactly what is reading in automatic, and then you pick the right filter for it. Don't forget to switch off the drone before placing the filter, okay? So first, flying in fully automatic exposure. So as you can see, you notice that it's not that smooth, it's more a bit shaky, okay? Because the shutter speed is really too high. So this is in automatic. Flying with an ND filter to drop my speed, my shutter speed to 1/50th of a second, and as you can see, the aspect is a lot more smooth. It's more this cine look that many people are looking for. So now let's speak about long exposure. So very often people say, can you make pictures, long exposure picture with the drone? Yes, you can, but obviously you must have no wind because the drone must be really, really, really steady. Obviously, the Mini is so light that any wind, any kind of wind, light wind will move it. So obviously, while you make the picture, if it moves, it will be blurred, okay? But everything blurred, not just the water, whatever you wanted to have blurred, but the full picture, okay? So it's important, no wind. Second, this is also why I say that when you go and make pictures, long exposure picture with the drone, make many pictures. Once you have framed the way you want, everything is framed, make many pictures because the slightest wind will move the drone and then the picture will be blurred. So if you make many, you're likely to have at least one that is okay with this framing, okay? So make many pictures, like 20, 50 if you need it, okay? Don't hesitate. So very important, when you place the ND 1000 or 2000, your drone will tell you it is too dark to fly. You can fly, but it will tell you, warning, be careful, it's very dark to fly, because your camera and your drone thinks it's nighttime. So it's very important that you say yes, you can fly, and second, put the exposure in automatic. Otherwise, you will not see anything while flying. So if you put the exposure in automatic, you will be able to see. It will drop the speed a lot. It will be shaky, it won't be nice, but at least you can go to the place where you want to make the picture. Once you're in the right place, you frame your picture, you frame everything, then you go to manual exposure, and then you drop the speed to the one you need with that filter on. So if you're on ISO 100 at 2.8 aperture, which is a fixed aperture on this drone, and the ambient light is normally 0.02 of a second, 1/2000th of a second, which is normal at midday for 2.8 and ISO 100. If you put the ND 1000, 10 stops, you will drop your speed to half a second. If you put the ND 2000, 11 stops, you will drop your speed at 1 second, okay? If you look at early morning or sunset, and the speed would be normally 1/500th of a second, with the ND 1000, 10 stops, you will drop to 2 second exposure, and the ND 2000, 11 stops, you will drop to 4 second exposure. 4 seconds is really, really long. It's really almost impossible to get 4 seconds okay with Mavic Mini, because it's so light that the slightest wind will move it, okay? But once you're there making your picture, you're flying, you want to use steady place, and you want to make the picture, and you realize maybe your filter is cutting too much, you can always put the ISO a bit up. Like if you're on 100, you go up to 200 ISO, and then that will cut the speed in two. So if you want 4 seconds, then you back on 2 seconds. If you want 1 second, then you back on half a second. So it's no problem. So now I'm going to show you a picture I've made with and without ND filter, so you can see the difference and the way it looks. I think it's nice to be able to make that kind of pictures. So thank you very much, Freewell, for giving me my money back for the review, and sorry for not having more example of flying, but I had the following problem. What I got when I received the filters, it started to have a lot of wind, a lot of wind in the Canary Islands, and where I was allowed to fly, it was impossible to fly. So when I got to France now, I recorded quite a bit more example, but I wanted to record more, but then we got confined again, so it was impossible to record more things, because where my parents' house is, it's forbidden to fly, so I could not go a few kilometers away, so it was not possible. So later, in a few months, or wherever possible, maybe a few weeks, I don't know, I will make some more video to explain more in details the technique of flying for a long exposure, because I know people really like are really interested in drone long exposure photography, so I will make some extra video. I won't do a review again, but yes, I will mention Freewell, as obviously people will think it's a miracle. It's not a miracle, it's a filter, okay? So I will show you more. I hope you like this video. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, you get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, you can leave a comment below. And also I put in description links to Freewell, obviously, and also links to my gear on Amazon, and also links to other parts of my YouTube channel. Please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye.